So the last time I talked about the iPhone 12, we were talking mostly about the internals, and the camera is kind of internals, it's going on inside, but thanks to some new leaks from Mr. Max Weinbach, we've got a bit more to talk about, and it seems like a fairly decent response from the Galaxy S20 Ultra. Let's begin. So cameras, as we're getting closer and closer to that peak smartphone, are mattering more and more, especially when it comes to the little details. So it sounds like we're not getting another lens. I know so many of you wanted to have a domino-sized camera module on your next iPhone, but we are gaining a time-of-flight sensor. So it's not really something you can, do ultra space zoom with, but the time-of-flight sensor thing we knew about. The details Max is giving us are about the ultra-wide lens being able to support much closer photography, which we've seen done on other Androids before. It's kind of impressive that with that ultra-wide you can get really close to certain things and get a lot of detail out of them. And a common criticism of the ultra-wide lens on the iPhones last year was that they seem to be quite a bit softer and less rich in detail compared to the standard lens on the iPhone. So hopefully they're going to be updating that as well, but knowing that macro capability is going to help a lot, and also potentially here a huge megapixel increase to 64 on that main lens. So maybe 2020 is the year all the smartphone companies just decided, you know what, megapixels, they do matter. Let's go all out. This would be an insanely huge jump year over year, but as someone who's been taking some pictures with the 108 megapixel camera on the Galaxy S20 Ultra, it's proven to me that megapixels aren't everything. In fact, it comes with its own sort of issues, but yes, it does result in a very rich photo. Lots and lots of detail can come out of it, but as some reviewers have already brought up, with the S20 Ultra's massive sensor, you have a very narrow range of focus with that lens, which means that you can take pictures of things that appear to be in focus, but you can never get everything completely in focus. So even though the next iPhone could be getting a 64 megapixel main shooter, my hope is that it won't have the problems that the S20 Ultra has been giving me. Another good response to the Ultra is that the telephoto lens will also be improving. So improved zoom. Hopefully that means not just, a larger sensor and better detail, but also a lot more than just 2x. Probably a similar hybrid zoom that we saw with the S20 Ultra line, which means that because the megapixels are so large on the main shooter, if you just want to zoom in by 2x or 3x, all you have to do is crop in because you're working with so much detail anyway. So the only time you really need to activate that telephoto lens is when you're doing deeper zooms, maybe like a 5x optical or a 10x optical. It kind of just depends on how deep Apple wants to go with zoom in technology. I'm guessing it's not going to be a 100x space zoom because that's mostly useless. But pretty much Apple, as long as you don't print 100x space zoom on the lens itself, I think most of us will be happy. But Max also detailed some type of new color calibration, which very possibly won't make it into the official release, but right now at least they're calling it Smart XDR. So I'm assuming that just means they're hoping to improve dynamic range with the next gen iPhones so that even if you're in those situations where the sun is super bright and you're trying to take a picture of something in the shade, it will be able to balance those things out in a more extreme way, because we got to bring XDR to everything now that high dynamic range isn't enough. We have to go to extreme. I'm just excited for super duper pooper dynamic range because that's obviously what comes after extreme, right? But to go back to that time of flight sensor, which some people are wondering about, what is that really supposed to help with? Given artificial intelligence and machine learning have helped a lot with masking out things for portrait mode and figuring out where exactly to give that right amount of bokeh, I don't think the time of flight sensor is just about the portrait mode photography. I think that adding the time of flight sensor to the iPhone is so that we can actually have portrait mode video, which I understand it's been done by other phones in the past, but it doesn't look great. It doesn't do a fantastic job masking things out, and Apple rarely adds things just for the sake of adding them. Usually if they add something to the iPhone, it's because they want to have a feature that goes along with it. So they're not going to just say, we added a time of flight sensor and that's kind of handy, you're welcome. They'll probably say something like, with the time of flight sensor and the extreme super duper performance of the A14 chip allows us to reach new heights of computational videography. And now, yeah, you can have a little bit of a blurry background when recording video. Yay! Now we don't have to buy DSLRs anymore, right? No. You should probably still buy those if you're a professional. But either way, the performance of video and photo is going to be improving. And one thing that I was absolutely asking for that I'm excited to hear because Max brought this up, they're bringing night mode to all three lenses. This has already been done with other Androids, I know that, but the fact that we'll finally get the really decent night mode performance that we've got out of the iPhones across the lenses on the ultra wide as well, and there's been several situations where I want to take a night mode shot, but I just want to get that grand scale of the environment I'm in. So if they're able to improve the ultra wide lens to a point that you can also have night mode with it, I assume an extra benefit of that it'll be sharper and more clear compared to the softer image quality the ultra wide is pulling right now. But one thing Max did not list that I hope everyone can just accept from the get-go, the next iPhone probably isn't going to shoot 8K video, and that's fine because I've tried 8K video on the S20 Ultra. It did not go well. It's very much rushed, very much not ready, and it doesn't work. So don't put it on the iPhone, Apple. At least just wait until you can do like 8K at 30 and actually have autofocus working. That would be great. So I'm fine with Apple not being first as long as they wait till they iron things out and things actually work fine. But either way, 8K is kind of pointless. Everything we talked about today applies to the iPhone 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max, we're assuming they're going to call it. Not really sure if this applies to those cheaper lower end iPhones, which are rumored to just have dual lenses, not triple. So they may have more standard photography and videography options. But what do you guys think? Feel free to hit me up over on Twitter. Join my Discord. We can chat more about it there. This is your Apple Sheep here, and my toenails are disgusting. You don't want to see them. You want to see them now, don't you? I'll see you in the next one.